We were around each other in the beginning more than people who are married. We were around each other constantly, and it can just take its toll on some people. And
yeah, at some point, priorities change, and I suppose certain parts of your life are disseminated.
It's sort of a play on leaving Las Vegas for me. I moved 2 years ago, and it was taking a risk for me.
Not to sound cliche, but maybe the next chapter. It's more introspective, I suppose, to Brandon.
We just evolved sort of separately, and we all have our own vision of what success is, and
we were thrown into a big, enormous pot of fast-moving business, kind of, and you had to go in with your eyes open.
We're not thinking about it when we're making the songs. This is definitely an answer to the last record. The last record was delving into maybe the most personal record I've ever made, which is difficult because I'm supposed to represent all four of the guys in the band. And it took a while for me to get comfortable just bearing all. And I started to do that on the last record, and it made it a lot easier to transition into that territory, maybe because the band isn't four guys anymore. Anyway, this is it's definitely an answer to the last record in my eyes.
I think this record, in some ways, lyrically, is an extension of the last record. Not to sound cliche, but maybe the next chapter. It's more introspective, I suppose, to Brandon. I think, for me, my perspective of it is that there's a common theme of togetherness and getting to the next level, united. And if that's meaning two people or a group of people, united for a higher purpose, for a better purpose.
If I don't get out of this town.
It's not, take it however you want to take it, I guess. It's sort of a play on leaving Las Vegas for me. I moved 2 years ago, and it was taking a risk for me. I kind of went kicking and screaming at first, I say, but I've come to see the fruits of that decision and in my life, and it's been positive for my family. Oh, it's just really difficult because, four guys, it's very much like a marriage, and you're around each other a lot. We were around each other in the beginning more than people who are married. We were around each other constantly, and it can just take its toll on some people. And we all come from different backgrounds, even though three of us are from the same town, but we just evolved sort of separately, and we all have our own vision of what success is, and we're just trying our best to navigate that.
Yeah, at some point, priorities change, and I suppose certain parts of your life are disseminated. But it's always been probably the most important thing to me is, being in a great band and writing great songs.
The agenda is still the same. I try to look for things that are similar, and instead of the differences. And the agenda is to make the best record that we can, and to try to take a snapshot of what's happening and what I see happening, whether it's in my life or in the things that I see on the street or on the news or whatever it is, and take that and and make it as cohesive and as fully realized as possible.
It was different. We didn't have a full band all the time. And it took us a little while to realize that. We were writing all these songs for about 6 months or so. And we were pretending like we had this full band. We were playing that kind of guitar. We were trying to make up for the people that were absent. And it took us about 6 months, 7 months to own up to the realization that that wasn't the truth. So let's think of it in a different way. All four of us had a very unique vision for being a Las Vegas band, and that is that we wanted to play stadiums and that kind of ambition. Yeah. I'd been in a bunch of bands before, and nobody had that kind of shared vision. Like it was good enough to go and play a Spaceland in Silver Lake, or go to New York and play a show. That was good enough, and that was never good enough for me. I was like, there's the whole world to conquer. Why not? And it's hard to sort of frame that idea to some people, especially when the ideology at that time was think small.
Not as much anymore. In the early days, it was in the early days you wanna be on the cover of Rolling Stone. You want a couple Grammys, but it's fine. It's we're not thinking about it when we're making the songs, so it's not something that we really dwell on after the awards are over.
It's not something that will ever keep me up at night. I'm happy to just have fans and people that enjoy and look forward to hearing our new music. I guess winning an award like that could be a nice cherry on top, but it's not necessary.
There's a lot. I think the way that we would shape shift from record to record is very Las Vegas. We grew up having things imploded and something new and bigger and shinier put in its place. So it's a transient town, and there's just a lot of that. And I think that's made its way into our music. I think you hear the creosote and the Joshua trees from the desert in our music, and I think you also hear the neon and the glitz and the sounds of quarters falling into the tin in our music.
I learned about, liars and cheats, about the game of good face, policies, political agendas. We grew up pretty quick. We were thrown into a big, enormous pot of fast-moving business, kind of, and you had to go in with your eyes open and your constitution in check.
It was fun. We loved it. We kind of loved it because the Strokes did the same thing before us, and we were big admirers of them. And the White Stripes did the same thing before them. And so it was kind of, we felt like, oh, we're doing something right. Yeah.
No, I think, I don't think we were expecting much from the U.S. And I think we knew, certainly after we went over there, that the UK, when it comes to smaller bands, are a little less business motivated and more a celebration of like a song or a tune or a band. These people are doing something different. Let's get, I guess it's always been that way. I mean, Hendrix had to go over there to get any sort of recognition, right? But yeah, I think the UK is a big tastemaker for much of America.